Before you even think about scrolling away, before you dismiss this as just another video, pause. Right now, in this exact moment, if you're here, it's because your soul is whispering something you've been ignoring. Why can't I force it anymore? Why does everything feel so heavy? You've clicked play not by accident, but because deep inside you're exhausted, not from life, but from chasing what Allah never meant for you to control. What if I told you this isn't failure? It's Allah's quiet invitation to something far greater. Stay, because by the end, you'll finally understand why He slowed you down and why this shift will change everything. Before you move your finger, before you decide this is just another reminder, listen to me carefully. If you clicked on this video, it's because something inside you is tired of forcing. Not tired in the body, tired in the soul. You don't struggle the same way anymore. You don't chase the same way anymore. You don't even want things the way you used to. And that scares you because you ask yourself in silence, why can't I push like before? Why does trying feel heavy? Now, why does my heart resist effort? Let me say this very clearly. This is not a problem. This is not weakness. This is not you falling behind. This is a very specific moment in a believer's life. A moment when Allah changes how He deals with you. Most people never understand this moment. And because they don't understand it, they panic, they rush, they force doors that were meant to stay closed, and they ruin what Allah was protecting. But if you understand this moment, you stop blaming yourself. You stop fighting the pause. You stop fearing the silence, and your entire story changes. Stay with me until the end of this video. Not because I want your time, but because by the end you will understand why Allah slowed you down, why effort stopped working, why your heart changed, and why this season, as confusing as it feels, is actually one of the most protected phases of your life. And let me ask you something now. Answer this honestly, even if only in your heart. Where are you watching from right now? And what time is it where you are? Because someone is listening to this at 200 a.m. with a heavy chest, quiet tears, and questions they don't tell anyone. Someone else is listening in the middle of the day, acting strong, handling responsibilities, but feeling empty inside. And Allah knows exactly who needs this message. Do not rush this video. Do not treat this like background noise, because somewhere in the middle, and especially near the end, you will hear something that explains your entire last chapter in a way you've never heard before. And when you finish listening, you won't feel broken for not forcing things anymore. You will feel safe. Stay with me. Allah is teaching you the difference between effort and control. There comes a moment in life that does not arrive loudly. It does not come with an announcement. It does not come with a clear sign. It comes quietly. One day you wake up and you realize something feels different inside your chest. You are still trying. You are still making dua. You are still moving forward. But something has changed. You are no longer forcing. And that confuses you. Because for so long, forcing felt like strength. Forcing felt like effort. Forcing felt like care. You believed that if you stopped pushing, everything would fall apart. So you pushed. You pushed your heart to stay where it was tired. You pushed your mind to keep hoping where it was hurting. You pushed yourself to wait for people who were not coming back. And Allah watched you. He watched you exhaust yourself in silence. He watched you blame yourself for things that were never your fault. He watched you carry weight that was never placed on your shoulders. And then slowly, very slowly, He changed something inside you. Now when you try to force, your heart resists. Not because you don't care, not because you gave up, but because your soul has learned something your mind is still catching up to. You sit with yourself and ask, why can't I push like I used to? Why does forcing feel wrong now? Why do I feel tired of trying to control everything? Nothing has gone wrong. Allah is not punishing you. Allah is not taking anything away from you. Allah is refining you. There is a difference that only time and pain can teach. The difference between doing your part and trying to do Allah's part. Before, you thought effort meant control. You thought effort meant worrying all night. You thought effort meant planning every possible outcome. You thought effort meant holding everything tightly so nothing slips away. But Allah is now teaching you that real effort does not suffocate the heart. Real effort does not steal your peace. Real effort does not make you feel like you are drowning. Effort is simple. Effort is when you show up honestly. Effort is when you pray sincerely. Effort is when you walk forward without demanding to see the entire road. That kind of effort is worship. But control is when fear takes the steering wheel. Control is when you say, "Yeah, Allah, I trust you, but only if you do it my way." Control is when you try to decide the timing, the people, the outcome, the exact shape of the blessing. And control is exhausting. Allah never asked you to control tomorrow. He never asked you to calculate how things will work out. He never asked you to guarantee results. He only asked you to trust Him enough to take the next step, just the next step. But for a long time, you tried to carry the entire future on your back. You tried to predict heartbreak before it happened. You tried to prepare for loss before it arrived. You tried to protect yourself by controlling everything. And Allah, out of mercy, allowed you to try until you reached your limit, until your heart could no longer breathe under the weight of control. So Allah gently removed your strength to force. Not suddenly, not harshly, but slowly. One day forcing felt heavy. Another day it felt pointless. Another day it felt wrong. And that scared you because forcing had become familiar. You didn't realize that forcing was never strength. It was survival. You were surviving pain. You were surviving uncertainty. You were surviving disappointment. And survival mode cannot last forever. So Allah began teaching your heart how to live instead of survive. When you feel unable to force things now, it is not because your faith is weak. It is because your faith is growing up. Allah is removing the illusion that you were ever in control to begin with. And that delusion hurts to lose because control made you feel safe. Control made you feel prepared. Control made you feel responsible. But control was also stealing your sleep, stealing your calm, stealing your joy. So Allah replaced it with something gentler, trust. Not the kind of trust that is loud. Not the kind of trust that feels confident every day. But the quiet trust that whispers, "Ya Allah, I will do my part and I will stop there." This is why you feel different now. You still care, but you no longer chase. You still love, but you no longer beg. You still hope, but you no longer panic. And that does not mean you are cold. It means you are healing. Allah is teaching you that what is written for you does not need fear to arrive. What is meant for you will not miss you because you stopped forcing. And what was never meant for you was never in your hands, no matter how tightly you held on. This is why your heart now wants peace more than answers. This is why you feel tired of explanations and hungry for calm. This is why you are learning to say, "Ya Allah, I leave it with you." Not because you are weak, but because you finally understand that Allah never needed your control to fulfill His promise. He only needed your trust. And when Allah removes your urge to force, He is not pushing you backward. He is lifting a burden your heart was never designed to carry. He is freeing you from a weight you mistook for responsibility. And that freedom, that quiet freedom inside your chest, that is mercy. Let me tell you something gently. Because some truths only settle when they are spoken softly. Forcing once felt necessary because you were afraid. Not afraid in a loud way. Not afraid in a way people could see. But afraid deep inside. Afraid of losing time. Afraid of missing what was meant for you. Afraid that if you stopped pushing, everything would disappear. So you held on tighter. You told yourself, if I don't try harder, nothing will change. If I don't push, I will be left behind. If I don't control this, it will break. And Allah understood your fear. He did not shame you for it. He did not punish you for it. He allowed you to learn through experience, because some lessons cannot be taught with words. They can only be learned through exhaustion. You see, forcing things often comes from a wounded heart, a heart that once lost something suddenly, a heart that was once surprised by pain, a heart that once trusted and was hurt. So it promised itself, I will never be unprepared again. That promise felt strong, but it slowly turned into a cage. You became alert all the time. Your mind never rested. Your heart was always tense. Even when things were calm, you were preparing for the storm, and Allah watched you live like this until one day He decided to heal you instead of letting you harden. So He softened your grip, not by force, but by changing your heart. Now, when you try to force things, your chest feels tight, your thoughts feel heavy, your soul feels tired. This is not failure. This is your heart saying, I trust Allah enough to stop fighting. Before your strength was in pushing, now your strength is in pausing. Before you measured progress by speed, now you measure progress by peace. That is growth. Allah retrains the heart gently. He does not shout. He does not rush. He allows you to feel uncomfortable with old habits, so you naturally let them. This is why you no longer enjoy controlling conversations, controlling people, controlling outcomes. You are tired of holding what never belonged to you. And listen carefully, Allah never intended for you to manage the entire journey. He only asks you to take the next step with sincerity. You were never meant to know how everything will work out. You were never meant to carry the future. That is Allah's job. Your job was always simpler than you thought: to be honest, to be patient, to be trusting. And now finally, your heart understands this. That is why peace feels more important than progress. Earlier you would choose movement even if it cost you your calm. Now you would rather wait than move with anxiety. Earlier you would accept stress as a normal part of life. Now your soul rejects it. This is not laziness, this is wisdom. Allah teaches His servants that speed without peace is not success, noise without clarity is not growth, and forcing without trust is not faith. You are entering a stage where Allah prepares you not by pushing you forward, but by steadying your heart. Because what is coming next does not need a restless soul. It needs a calm one. What Allah is preparing for you, not trust, not tension, presence, not pressure. That is why your heart now prefers silence. That is why you walk away from chaos. That is why you stop explaining yourself. You are not shrinking, you are stabilizing. Allah is making your foundation strong before He adds more weight to your life. My dear brother, my dear sister, if you could force blessings, they would arrive broken. If you could control destiny, it would crush you. So Allah protects you from yourself by teaching you how to let go. And one day, when what is written for you arrives, it will not come with fear. It will not come with stress. It will come with calm, and you will recognize it, not because you fought for it, but because your heart feels at home with it. You will look back at this season and finally understand why Allah slowed you down, why He took away your urge to force, why He made you tired of control. And you will whisper, Ya Allah, you knew better than me. And that realization is not the end of your struggle. It is the beginning of your peace. May Allah replace your fear with trust, your pressure with calm, and your waiting with certainty. Your soul is tired of carrying what was never yours. Some tiredness is not from the body. Some tiredness lives much deeper. You can sleep for hours and still wake up exhausted. You can rest your body and still feel heavy inside. Because the tiredness you feel now is not physical. It is spiritual. It is emotional. It is the tiredness of carrying things your heart was never meant to carry for a long time. You were holding responsibilities that did not belong to you. You were holding timing. You were holding outcomes. You were holding people's choices. You were holding expectations that Allah never placed on your shoulders. And slowly, without realizing it, your soul became music tired. You told yourself, I must fix this. I must make this work. I must hold everything together. And Allah watched you. He watched you wake up worried. He watched you go to sleep thinking. He watched your heart stay busy. Even when your body rested, you carried tomorrow before it arrived. You carried people's reactions before they happened. You carried disappointment before it even existed. And this kind of weight silently breaks a person, because the human heart was not designed to carry destiny. It was designed to trust the one who controls it. But you didn't know that yet. So Allah allowed you to try, not because He wanted you to suffer, but because some hearts only understand when they feel the weight themselves. You thought you were being responsible. But responsibility slowly turned into pressure. Pressure slowly turned into anxiety, and anxiety slowly turned into exhaustion. And one day you noticed something strange. You no longer had the energy to hold everything. Not because you became careless, but because your soul said enough. This is when Allah stepped in with mercy. He did not shout at you. He did not accuse you. He did not say, why did you carry this? Instead, He quietly removed your strength to keep carrying it. That is why you now feel unable to keep worrying like before. That is why your heart refuses to stay involved in everything. That is why you feel tired of fixing, explaining, holding, saving. This is not failure. This is Allah lifting a burden. Allah is teaching you something gently. Some things belong to Him alone. Timing belongs to Allah. Guidance belongs to Allah. Outcomes belong to Allah. People's hearts belong to Allah. And when you tried to carry these things, you slowly lost your peace. Peace only returns when you put Allah's responsibilities back into Allah's hands. This is why relief does not come from doing more. Relief comes from releasing more, releasing expectations, releasing control, releasing responsibility for things you were never meant to manage. You are not lazy for feeling this way. You are not weak. You are learning. Allah is teaching your heart how to breathe again. Earlier you felt guilty when you didn't worry. Now you feel tired. When you do that is growth. Allah changes the heart slowly until it rejects what harms it. This is why you now crave simplicity. This is why you avoid emotional noise. This is why you step back more often. Your soul is healing. You are learning that you do not have to carry everything to be faithful. Faith is not tension. Faith is not pressure. Faith is knowing when to step forward and when to step aside and say, Ya Allah, this is yours. And Allah never expected you to carry what only He can hold. That is why your heart grew tired. And that tiredness is not a problem. It is a message. Let me continue gently, because this part of the journey is where many hearts misunderstand themselves. You did not start carrying too much because you were proud. You carried too much because you cared. You cared about doing the right thing. You cared about not disappointing people. You cared about not missing what Allah might have written for you. So when something mattered, you held it tighter. You told yourself, if I don't think about this, who will? If I don't worry, things might go wrong. If I let go, I might lose everything. And Allah knows this about you. That is why He never blamed you. But love when mixed with fear turns into burden. Caring when mixed with control turns into exhaustion. And slowly the heart becomes heavy without knowing why. You began to feel guilty for resting, guilty for stepping back, guilty for not trying harder. Even peace started to feel uncomfortable, because for so long you believed that tension meant responsibility. But Allah is now teaching you that tension was never required. Allah does not ask His servants to hurt themselves to prove faith. He does not ask you to lose sleep to show sincerity. He does not ask you to carry tomorrow on your back. He only asks you to trust Him enough to put things down. And that is not easy. Letting go feels scary. When you've been holding on for years, your hands feel empty at first. Your heart feels unsure. You wonder, what if I'm being careless? What if I'm giving up? What if Allah expected more from me? But Allah never expected you to replace Him. He never expected you to manage people's hearts. He never expected you to decide outcomes. Those responsibilities were never yours. And when Allah sees a servant crushing themselves under weight, they were never meant to carry intervenes, not with force, not with punishment, but with mercy. He removes the strength to keep carrying so the heart can finally rest. This is why you now feel uncomfortable when you worry too much. This is why your body reacts to stress more quickly. This is why your heart pulls back from emotional chaos. Your soul is learning its limits. Limits are not weakness, limits are protection. Allah sets limits so the heart does not break. Earlier you thought letting go meant losing. Now you are learning that letting go means returning. Returning responsibility to Allah, returning peace to your heart, returning trust to its rightful place. And something beautiful happens. When you do this, the noise inside you softens. The constant thinking slows down. The pressure eases, not because problems disappear, but because you stop carrying them alone. You begin to say, Ya Allah, I have done my part. The rest belongs to you. And that sentence carries more peace than all the plans you ever made. My dear brother, my dear sister, Allah is not disappointed in you for being tired. He is proud of you for learning when to rest your soul. This tiredness is not the end, it is the beginning of trust. And trust is where true strength lives. May Allah lighten your heart, return peace to your chest, and teach you the beauty of placing what is heavy back into His hands. What is written for you will never need desperation. Let me tell you something softly, because this truth touches the heart deeply. What is written for you was never meant to be chased in desperation. If something truly belongs to you, you will not need to beg for it. You will not need to shrink yourself for it. You will not need to lose your peace to keep it. But for a long time you didn't know this. So when something mattered to you, you ran after it with fear. You thought urgency meant importance. You thought pain meant effort. You thought desperation meant love. And Allah watched you confuse suffering with sincerity. You told yourself, if I don't try harder, I will lose it. If I don't hold on tighter, it will leave. If I don't prove myself, I won't be chosen. So you begged for attention. You chased reassurance. You waited for replies that came late and promises that came empty. And every time you felt ignored, you blamed yourself. You thought you were not enough. You thought you were asking for too much. You thought you needed to change to be worthy. But Allah never writes blessings that humiliate the believer. He never gives you something that requires you to lose your dignity. If something demands desperation, it is already harming you. Desperation does not come from love. It comes from fear. Fear of abandonment, fear of being alone, fear of missing what you think is meant for you. And fear makes the heart behave in ways it was never meant to. You begin to accept crumbs while calling it patience. You begin to tolerate disrespect while calling it loyalty. You begin to stay silent about pain while calling it understanding. But Allah sees the damage this causes inside you. So He slowly changes your heart. One day you notice you no longer have the strength to beg. You no longer have the energy to chase. You no longer want to explain yourself to be chosen. And this scares you. You wonder, why don't I care like before? Why can't I fight for this anymore? Why does desperation feel wrong now? Nothing is wrong. Allah is protecting your dignity. He is teaching you that what is written for you will come with calm. It will not make you feel small. It will not make you question your worth. It will not make you anxious all the time. What belongs to you will meet you halfway. It will not run from you and ask you to chase. You see, my dear brother, Allah honors His servants. He does not give them gifts that break their self-respect. So when Allah removes desperation from your heart, He is not removing desire, He is removing fear. He is teaching you that real blessings arrive without you losing yourself. Earlier you believed that holding on tightly was proof of love. Now you are learning that peace is the real sign. Peace does not shout. Peace does not rush. Peace does not beg. Peace sits quietly and says, if this is from Allah, it will stay. This is why you now walk away from situations that drain you. This is why you stop responding where you feel unvalued. This is why your heart refuses to beg for effort. You are not becoming cold, you are becoming clear. Allah is rebuilding your self-worth from the inside. He is teaching you that you are not hard to love. You were just trying to receive love from the wrong places, and Allah out of mercy is pulling your heart away from what was slowly breaking it. This lesson is painful because it comes with separation. Separation from illusions, separation from false hopes, separation from attachments that felt real but were never secure. But Allah never removes something without planning something better. It removes desperation so you are ready to receive with gratitude. He removes chasing so you are ready to be chosen without fear. He removes humiliation so you are ready for honor. And if something leaves your life when you stop begging for it, it was never meant to stay. What is written for you will not disappear because you stood still. It will arrive when your heart is calm enough to receive it whole. Let me continue softly, because this part touches wounds that were never spoken out loud. Desperation once felt necessary because somewhere inside you there was a quiet fear, a fear of being left, a fear of not being chosen, a fear that if you stopped trying you would be forgotten. So you kept giving more even when it hurt. You kept understanding even when it wasn't returned. You kept waiting even when your heart was tired. And you told yourself, this is patience, this is loyalty, this is love. But patience does not destroy the soul. Loyalty does not erase dignity. Love does not make you feel unworthy. Allah saw the confusion in your heart. He saw how you confused endurance with value. He saw how you measured your worth by how much you could tolerate. And Allah does not allow His servant to live like that forever. So He began healing you by changing what you desire. Slowly, very slowly, you stopped craving validation. You stopped chasing replies. You stopped proving your value. Not because you stopped caring, but because your heart grew tired of pain disguised as hope. This is when clarity arrives. You begin to understand that what is written for you will not require emotional begging. It will not ask you to explain your worth. It will not make you question why you are not enough. What Allah writes for you arrives with dignity. It arrives with ease. And when ease enters the heart, fear leaves quietly. Earlier you thought being chosen meant being chased. Now you know being chosen means being valued without effort. Earlier you thought love meant attachment. Now you know love means safety. Earlier you thought patience meant staying. Now you know patience sometimes means walking away. This is not bitterness, this is healing. Allah is teaching you that you are not difficult to love. You were simply asking the wrong hands to hold something sacred. Allah out of mercy removed desperation from your heart before it removed your dignity completely. That is protection, because desperation attracts what only stays while you beg. But calm attracts what stays because it belongs. This is why Allah often heals self-worth before He sends the blessing. Because if the blessing arrived earlier, you might have still believed you had to suffer to deserve it. Now your heart is learning something new. You are learning to say, if it is from Allah, it will come. If it is not, I will not break myself for it. And that sentence changes everything. You stop chasing what runs. You stop watering what never grows. You stop waiting where there is no arrival. And suddenly your chest feels lighter, not empty, lighter. Because peace is not absence. Peace is alignment. Allah aligns your heart before He aligns your life. So if you feel unable to beg like before, to chase like before, to hold on like before, Allah is restoring your honor. And honor always comes before ease. Always, my dear brother, my dear sister, what is written for you will recognize you without desperation. It will stay without explanation. And it will choose you without you losing yourself. That is the kind of gift Allah gives to a healed heart. May Allah protect your dignity, heal your fears, and bring you what belongs to you with calm and certainty. Forced doors drain the soul. Open doors heal it. Some doors did not open for you. No matter how many times you knocked, no matter how sincere your intentions were, no matter how badly you wanted them to, and for a long time that hurt you deeply, you stood in front of those doors wondering what was wrong with you. You asked yourself, why is this not working? Why does it open for others but not for me? Why do I feel stuck outside? And slowly you began to believe that the closed door meant rejection. You thought Allah was saying no to you. But Allah was never rejecting you. He was protecting you. You see, not every door that looks good is safe to enter. Not every opportunity that shines is meant to shape your future. Some doors lead to places that slowly drain the heart. Some doors reshape your character in ways you were never meant to be reshaped. And Allah, out of mercy, does not allow His servant to walk into what will break them. But you did not know that at the time. So you pushed. You knocked harder. You explained yourself. You tried again and again. And every time the door stayed closed, your heart grew heavier. You told yourself, if I try harder, it will open. If I prove myself, they will let me in. If I don't stop, something will change. But forcing a door never leads to peace. Forcing a door only leads to exhaustion. And Allah watches carefully when a servant is standing in front of a door that is not written for them. He does not embarrass them. He does not shout at them. He simply keeps the door closed, not to hurt them, but to save them. Because Allah sees what you cannot see yet. He sees the version of you that would have been created if you entered that door. He sees the compromises you would have made. He sees the pain you would have normalized. He sees the distance it would have created between your heart and Him. And Allah loves you too much to let that happen. So He closes the door even when you cry at it. Even when you pray for it. Even when you beg for it. And that is painful because closed doors are silent. They do not explain themselves. They do not justify their reasons. They just remain closed, and silence is hard for the heart. Silence makes you question your worth. Silence makes you doubt your direction. Silence makes you feel unwanted. But my dear brother, my dear sister, a closed door does not mean you are unworthy. It means the door was forced. Doors drain the soul. They ask too much from you. They demand compromises. They slowly pull you away from peace. And Allah never guides through chaos. When Allah opens a door, it opens with calm, it opens with ease, it opens with clarity. It does not demand you to lose yourself just to stay inside. If a door requires you to shrink your values, silence your pain, or abandon your peace, that door was never meant to open. So when Allah keeps a door closed, He is not holding you back. He is holding you together. You may not see it now, but Allah is protecting your future self, the self that will thank Him later for the door that never opened, the self that will look back and say, Ya Allah, if you had let me in, I would have been broken. This is why some doors close right when you are about to enter. This is why some opportunities disappear just when they feel close. This is why some people walk away even when you try to make it work. Allah is redirecting you without explaining Himself, and that hurts. But guidance does not always come with comfort in the moment. Sometimes it comes with disappointment first. But disappointment is often the cover of protection. You are not being denied. You are being guided. And if Allah had allowed every door to open, you would have entered places that your heart could not survive. So trust the closed door, trust the pause, trust the silence, because Allah sees the full picture and you only see the frame. Let me continue gently, because this part of the lesson is where the heart begins to understand. When a door stays closed for a long time, the pain changes shape. At first it hurts loudly. You feel rejected, you feel confused, but later the pain becomes quieter. It turns into self-doubt. You begin asking yourself questions that slowly wound the heart. Am I not good enough? Did I miss my chance? Is Allah disappointed in me? And this is where many people lose peace, not because the door stayed closed, but because they believe the wrong story about it. So let me tell you the truth clearly in simple words. Allah does not close doors because He dislikes His servant. He closes doors because He knows where they lead. A closed door is not a judgment on your worth. It is a decision about your direction. But the heart struggles with this because we only see the moment. We do not see the years ahead. We do not see the damage that was prevented. We do not see the tears we were saved from. Allah does. This is why some closed doors make sense only later. Sometimes years later, one day you will look at that same door and feel relief instead of pain. You will say, Ya Allah, thank you for not letting me enter. But right now, you are still standing close to it, still wondering, still feeling the ache. And Allah is patient with you. He allows you to grieve what you thought your life would look like. Because even protection can feel like loss at first. You were not just attached to the door, you were attached to the dream behind it, and letting go of a dream deeply. But Allah replaces dreams gently. He does not snatch them away. He slowly loosens their grip on your heart. That is why over time you begin to feel less desperate to reopen the door. You stop checking it. You stop knocking, not because you stop caring, but because your heart found peace elsewhere. This is when you realize something important. Open doors feel different. They do not make you anxious. They do not confuse you. They do not demand you to betray yourself. Open doors come with calm. They align with your values. They protect your faith. They allow you to breathe. And when Allah opens a door, He opens it fully. You do not have to squeeze yourself through. You do not have to beg to stay inside. You do not have to keep proving you belong there. You simply walk in. This is why Allah closes forced doors, because forced doors require force every single day. And a life that needs daily force is not a life of peace. Allah wants ease for you. Not ease without effort, but ease without harm. So when Allah closes a door, He is not delaying your life. He is redirecting it. Redirection often feels like rejection until you arrive where you were meant to be, and then it makes sense. You realize you were never meant to stay where you were trying to enter. You were meant to grow elsewhere. So my dear brother, my dear sister, if a door did not open, do not stand there forever. Trust that Allah sees what you cannot. Trust that He is shaping a path that protects your heart, your faith, and your future. And remember this always, what Allah closes, no one can open. And what Allah opens, no one can close. So place your trust in Him. Because every closed door was never the end of your story. It was the turning point. May Allah grant your heart peace with what never opened, and gratitude for what will. Allah is no longer testing you the same way. There was a time when life tested you loudly. Problems came suddenly. Pain arrived clearly. You knew exactly what you were fighting. You cried, you struggled, you pushed forward with whatever strength you had, and somehow you survived. But now the test feels different. There is no clear enemy, no obvious battle, no dramatic hardship. Yet inside you something feels heavier than before. You wake up tired. Even when nothing happened, you feel pressure. Even when life looks calm and you ask yourself quietly, why does this feel harder? Even though it looks easier, nothing is wrong with you. Allah is not testing you the same way anymore. Earlier, Allah tested you with doing. Now He is testing you with being. Earlier, He tested your actions. Now He is testing your heart. Earlier, He tested how hard you could push. Now He tests how deeply you can trust. This kind of test feels confusing because it does not look like a test. There is no clear problem to fix, no clear solution to chase, just waiting. Silence, uncertainty, and waiting test the heart more than hardship ever did. Because in waiting you cannot distract yourself. You cannot fight. You cannot prove yourself. You can only sit with what is inside you. And that is uncomfortable. Allah brings you into this stage when He wants to elevate you, because not every heart can handle this test. Many people can handle pain, Few people can handle patience. Many people can survive struggle. Few people can survive stillness. Stillness exposes what noise hides. It shows you what you rely on. It shows you what scares you. It shows you where your trust really is. And Allah already knows your heart, but He wants you to know it. So He removes distraction. He slows life down. He places you in moments where nothing moves unless He moves it. And this is where people feel lost. They think, why am I not progressing? Why do I feel stuck? Why does Allah feel silent? But Allah is not silent. He is close, closer than before. Earlier you ran towards solutions. Now Allah invites you to sit with Him. Earlier you depended on effort. Now Allah teaches dependence on Him. This is not an easier test. It is a deeper one, because effort feels productive. Trust feels empty at first. Effort gives you control. Trust asks you to release it. And releasing control is painful for the ego. The ego wants to do the soul, wants to surrender. Allah tests the soul only after it has been strengthened by struggle. That is why this stage comes later. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. Prepared for blessings that cannot survive in a restless heart. Prepared for responsibilities that need calm, not chaos. Prepared for answers that only arrive in silence. This is why your heart feels different now. You no longer rush. You no longer chase. You no longer panic the same way. But you also feel uncomfortable because you don't recognize yourself. You say, I don't feel like who I used to be. You are right. That version of you has completed its role. Allah is shaping a new one. A version that does not collapse when things slow down. A version that does not lose faith when answers delay. A version that does not confuse silence with abandonment. My dear brother, my dear music sister, this test does not come to break you. It comes to stabilize, because Allah does not give greater things to shaky hearts. He first teaches the heart how to stand still without fear. And this is why this test feels lonely, because no one can help you with it. Others can advise you in hardship. Others can support you in struggle. But patience is learned alone between you and Allah, in key moments, in unanswered prayers, in nights when nothing changes and Allah watches how you behave in the waiting, not to judge you but to grow you. Every moment you do not complain, your heart becomes stronger. Every moment you still pray, even without answers, your faith deepens. Every moment you choose trust over panic, Allah raises you. This stage is where many people turn back. They say, I don't feel Allah anymore. But in reality, Allah is closer than ever. He is teaching you that faith is not a feeling. It is a choice, a quiet one. And if Allah has placed you here, it is because He knows you can handle it. Let me continue gently, because this part of the test is where many hearts misunderstand Allah. When Allah slows life down, the mind begins to panic. It says something is wrong. I am falling behind. Others are moving forward. Why am I still here? And comparison quietly enters the heart. You start measuring your life by other people's timelines. You see their progress. You see their achievements, you see their movement. And suddenly, your stillness feels like failure. But stillness is not failure when Allah places you in it. Stillness is training. Allah slows you down, not because you are weak, but because what He is preparing cannot be carried by a rushed heart. Some blessings collapse when they arrive too early. Some responsibilities crush when the heart is not anchored. So Allah anchors you first. He teaches your heart how to remain steady when nothing is happening. Because life will not always move fast. There will be moments when progress is invisible. Moments when effort feels unrewarded. Moments when dua feels unanswered, and Allah wants you to know how to remain faithful even there. Earlier you trusted Allah when things were moving. Now Allah teaches you to trust Him when things are quiet. This is a higher form of faith, because it does not rely on signs, it relies on certainty. You see, my dear brother, When Allah gives you quick results, your heart thanks the result. But when Allah gives you waiting, your heart learns to thank Allah. And that changes everything. During this stage, Allah gently exposes what your heart was attached to. You may notice that some desires feel weaker, some goals feel distant, some dreams no longer excite you the same way. And this scares you. You think, am I losing motivation? Am I becoming lazy? Why don't I want what I wanted before? You are not losing drive. Allah is purifying intention. He is removing goals that were feeding the ego instead of the soul. He is separating what looked good from what was good for you. This process feels empty because attachments are loosening. And whenever something loosens, the heart feels space. Space feels strange. When you are used to noise, but space is where Allah works. This is where clarity is born. This is where sincerity deepens. This is where your relationship with Allah moves from transactional to intimate. Earlier you prayed because you needed something. Now you pray because you need Allah. Earlier dua was urgent. Now duja is quiet. Earlier you rushed through prayers. Now you sit longer. Not because you are perfect, but because your heart is softer. This is the hidden gift of this test. Allah is making Himself your primary source of comfort. Not outcomes, not people, not success. Him and that relationship must be built in silence because removed. There is no one to impress, no one to prove anything to, just you and Allah. This is why this stage feels lonely, but loneliness with Allah is not abandonment, it is closeness. Allah often isolates His servants when He wants to speak to them without distractions. And when Allah speaks, it is not always with words. Sometimes He speaks by slowing life down until the heart finally listens. My dear brother, my dear sister, if Allah is testing you with waiting, it means He trusts your faith. If Allah is testing you with silence, it means He sees strength in you that you do not see yet. And if Allah is testing you without giving clear answers, it means the answer will be heavy when it arrives, heavy with responsibility, heavy with blessing, heavy with change. So He prepares you first. He strengthens your patience, deepens your trust, stabilizes your heart, so that when the time comes, you do not collapse under what you asked for. And one day, without warning, movement will return. Doors will open, clarity will arrive, things will begin to shift. And you will realize that nothing was wasted. Not the waiting, not the silence, not the confusion. Every quiet moment was building something inside you that noise never could. And you will say, Ya Allah, now I understand. And that understanding is worth every moment of waiting. May Allah grant you patience that does not break, trust that does not shake, and certainty that does not depend on speed. Allah is teaching you to recognize peace as guidance. There was a time when you chose things because they looked good, they looked successful, they looked impressive, they looked like progress. Even if your heart felt uneasy, you told yourself, this is how life works. This discomfort is normal. This pressure means I'm growing. So you ignored the tightness in your chest. You ignored the restlessness in your soul. You ignored the feeling that something was not right. You told yourself to be strong. And for a while you managed. But slowly, very slowly, your heart began to change. Things that once excited you started to drain you. Places that once felt important started to feel heavy. People you once enjoyed being around started to leave you tired, and you couldn't explain why. You began saying things like, I don't know why, but this doesn't feel right anymore. I should be happy, but I'm not at peace. I have what I wanted, yet my heart feels restless. This confusion is painful because the world teaches you to chase comfort, status, and speed, but Allah teaches the believer to recognize peace. Peace is not loud. Peace does not demand attention. Peace does not impress people. Peace simply sits in the heart and allows it to breathe. Allah slowly trains the heart to recognize peace as guidance, not excitement, not applause, not validation. Peace This training does not happen overnight. First, Allah lets you taste restlessness in things you thought were good. He let success feel empty. He let noise feel exhausting. He lets constant movement feel heavy, not to punish you, but to wake you up. So you begin to notice how your body reacts to certain situations. Your chest tightens, your thoughts race, your sleep becomes shallow, and you realize this is not peace. Earlier, you ignored these signs because you thought they were weakness, but now you can't ignore them anymore. Your heart refuses to cooperate. This is Allah protecting you. Allah teaches mature souls that peace is not a luxury, it is a sign that something aligns with your firah, a sign that something brings you closer to Him. And when something pulls you away from peace, it pulls you away from Allah. This is why your heart now chooses differently. You walk away from conversations that feel toxic. You distance yourself from environments that drain your soul. You stop chasing things that disturb your calm. And people misunderstand this. They say, you've changed, you've become distant, you're too quiet now. But they do not see what Allah is doing inside you. You are not withdrawing from life, you are aligning with guidance. Allah removes attraction from what harms you. He removes sweetness from what poisons the heart, excitement from what leads you away from Him. And this feels strange at first because you were used to chaos. Cows felt familiar, drama felt normal, stress felt productive, peace feels boring to a heart addicted to noise. So when Allah introduces peace, the heart resists. It says this feels empty, this feels slow, this feels unfamiliar. But unfamiliar does not mean wrong, it means new. Allah is teaching your heart a new language. The language of calm, the language of stillness, the language of contentment. This is why silence now feels comforting instead of lonely. This is why you enjoy being alone more than being surrounded by noise. This is why you prefer clarity over constant stimulation. Your heart is growing. Earlier you chased intensity. Now you value stability. Earlier you mistook anxiety for ambition. Now you recognize peace as progress. This is a sign of spiritual maturity. Allah does not guide His servants with chaos. He guides them with light. And light does not rush. Light simply shows the way. So when Allah teaches you to recognize peace as guidance, He's teaching you how to choose wisely, because the next phase of your life will require a calm heart. It will require discernment. It will require patience. It will require presence. And a restless soul cannot carry what Allah is preparing. So He trains you gently. He changes what excites you. He changes what attracts you. He changes what you tolerate until your heart begins to say, if this costs my peace, it costs too much. And that sentence protects you from countless harms. My dear brother, my dear sister, if your heart now chooses peace over pressure, do not feel guilty. Allah is guiding you. If your soul avoids noise and seeks calm, do not feel weak. Allah is refining you. And if what once excited you no longer holds you, do not panic. Allah is preparing you for something that requires a peaceful heart. Let me continue gently, because this stage confuses many hearts. When Allah begins teaching you to choose peace, the ego feels uncomfortable. The ego likes noise, it likes urgency, it likes feeling important. Chaos makes the ego feel alive. So when calm enters your life, the ego whispers, this is boring, this is too slow, this is not enough. But your soul knows better. Your soul recognizes relief before your mind understands it. This is why even when something looks perfect on the outside, your heart refuses it. You say, I don't know why, but I can't do this anymore. I should be grateful, but I feel drained. This looks right, but it feels wrong. This is not ingratitude. This is guidance. Allah speaks to the believer's heart through peace and unease. Earlier He guided you through signs you could see. Now He guides you through feelings you can sense. And feelings are subtle. They do not shout, they whisper. So you must slow down to hear them. This is why Allah often removes you from constant busyness. It makes you clearer, He makes you more reflective, because guidance cannot be heard. In Noah's, when the heart becomes calm, it becomes sensitive. It notices small things. It notices when a conversation pulls it away from Allah. It notices when a place disturbs its balance. It notices when an opportunity comes with anxiety instead of ease. Earlier you ignored these signs because you thought success required sacrifice. Now Allah teaches you that guidance requires alignment. Alignment between your heart, your values, and your faith. Peace is the sign that alignment exists. This is why Allah removes you from environments that once felt exciting but slowly poisoned your heart. This is why you feel uncomfortable with gossip, drama, and constant negativity. Not because you are better than others, but because your heart can no longer tolerate what harms it. Allah has changed your tolerance. And this is mercy, because tolerance for harm is not strength. It is self-neglect. Allah does not want you strong at the cost of your soul. He wants you steady. Steady hearts last longer. Steady hearts make better decisions. Steady hearts recognize blessings without rushing. This is why peace attracts the right things. When your heart is calm, you do not chase blindly. You observe, you discern, you wait, and what is written for you finds you without panic. Earlier blessings arrived and overwhelmed you. Now blessings will arrive and settle gently because your heart is ready. You are no longer distracted by everything that sparkles. You are no longer pulled by every opportunity. You choose carefully. And careful choice is a form of gratitude. Allah protects your future by teaching you to choose peace now, because the next phase of your life will require decision that shape others, not just you. It will require wisdom. It will require clarity. It will require restraint, and peace trains all of these. So if you feel distant from noise, from drama, from unnecessary struggle, do not fight it. Allah is sharpening your awareness. If you feel drawn to simplicity, to silence, to meaningful connections, embrace it. Allah is stabilizing your heart. And if people do not understand why you changed, remember this: Allah understands, and His understanding is enough. My dear brother, my dear sister, choosing peace is not giving up on life. It is choosing life that does not destroy you. May Allah keep your heart sensitive to peace, protect you from what disturbs your soul, and guide you through calm clarity. Forcing ends when tawakkul begins. There comes a moment in faith that cannot be rushed. It does not arrive suddenly. It does not announce itself. It comes quietly after exhaustion, after disappointment, after trying everything you knew how to try. One day you realize you are no longer running. Not because you reached the finish line, but because your heart no longer has the strength to keep sprinting. And this scares you, because for so long, running felt like faith. Trying felt like belief. Pushing felt like obedience. You believed that if you stopped running, you would fall behind. So you kept going. You prayed harder. You planned more. You worried constantly. You told yourself, if I don't move, nothing will happen. If I don't push, Allah will not help me. If I don't do more, I will lose what I'm asking for. And Allah watched you. He watched you confuse effort with anxiety. He watched you confuse action with panic. He watched you exhaust your heart in the name of faith. Until one day He gently slowed you down, not by force, but by changing your strength. Now when you try to run, your heart resists. When you try to push, your soul feels heavy. And you ask yourself, what is happening to me? Why can't I do what I used to do? Why do I feel tired of trying? This is not weakness. This is the beginning of tawakkul before you depended on movement. Now Allah teaches you to depend on Him before you trusted effort. Now Allah teaches you to trust His promise, and this transition is painful because letting go feels like losing control, and losing control terrifies the ego. The ego says, if I stop, everything will collapse. If I lean, I will fall. If I trust, I will be disappointed. But tawakkul begins where the ego ends. True reliance does not start when things are easy. It starts when you have nothing left to lean on except Allah. This is why this lesson comes late. Allah does not teach tawakkul to untested hearts. He teaches it to hearts that have tried everything and realize they cannot carry life alone. You see, my dear brother, tawakkul is not passive. It is not laziness. It is not giving up. It is the deepest form of action because it requires you to do your part and then stop interfering. And stopping is harder than doing. Doing makes you feel useful. Stopping makes you feel exposed. When you stop forcing, your fears rise to the surface. You fear losing control. You fear disappointment. You fear silence. And Allah allows you to feel these fears so you can place them where they belong in His hands. This is why tawakkul feels heavy before it feels peaceful. At first your hands feel empty. You are used to holding plans, holding expectations, holding timelines. Now your hands are open and open hands feel vulnerable. But open hands are the only ones that can receive. Allah is teaching you how to receive without fear before you tried to secure outcomes by effort. Now Allah teaches you that outcomes are secured by trust. This does not mean you stop acting, it means you stop panicking. It means you stop chasing what runs. It means you stop forcing doors that Allah has closed. You act with sincerity and then you lean. Lean on dua, lean on patience. Lean on Allah's wisdom. And leaning feels strange at first because you are used to standing alone. You are used to carrying everything yourself. So when Allah invites you to lean, your heart resists. It says, what if Allah doesn't catch me? But Allah has been catching you your entire life. Every time you survived something you thought would destroy you, every time you were saved from something you didn't even see coming, every time a door closed and later you realized it was mercy, Allah was there. You just didn't call it tawakkul then. Now Allah wants you to live consciously in that reliance, not only in crisis but in daily life. This is why forcing ends. Not because you stop caring, but because you learn that caring does not require control. This is why you feel calmer about things that once terrified you. This is why you say whatever Allah wills, not as words but as a state of heart. You are no longer fighting destiny, you are walking with it. And that changes everything. Let me continue softly because this stage of faith is where the heart finally learns how to rest. When you stop running, you notice how tired you really were. You notice how long you lived in urgency, always thinking ahead, always worrying about outcomes, always trying to protect yourself from disappointment. Running became normal, stress became familiar, pressure felt like purpose. So when Allah asks you to lean, your body does not understand at first. Your heart says, if I relax, something bad will happen. If I stop worrying, I will lose control. If I trust too much, I will get hurt again. These thoughts are not sinful, they are scars. Scars from times you trusted and were let down. Scars from moments you prayed and waited and nothing happened the way you hoped. Allah knows this. That is why He does not demand tawakkul suddenly. He teaches it gently. He allows you to feel unsafe without control, so you can learn that safety never came from control anyway. Control never saved you. Worry never protected you. Overthinking never changed destiny. Allah did every time. And now He wants you to know this consciously. This is why He removes your desire to interfere. You notice it now. You no longer chase answers the way you used to. You no longer need constant reassurance. You say, Ya Allah, you know, and something inside you settles. Not because the problem disappeared, but because you stopped carrying it alone. This is the quiet miracle of tawakkul. The situation may stay the same, but the weight changes. Earlier problems sat on your chest. Now they sit in your dua. Earlier fear lived in your thoughts. Now trust lives in your heart. This is not accidental. Allah is reshaping your identity. Before you saw yourself as the one who must fix everything. Now you see yourself as the one who belongs to Allah. And belonging is safer than controlling, because what you own, you fear losing, but what Allah owns, He protects. So when you lean, you stop fearing loss. You understand that nothing can leave without Allah allowing it, and nothing can reach you without Allah sending it. This realization quiets the soul. You begin to sleep better. You breathe deeper. You react slower. Not because you don't care, but because you trust. Trust does not make you careless. It makes you steady. This is why Tawakkul changes how you speak. You stop saying, "What if everything goes wrong?" You begin saying, "Even if it does, Allah will be with me." And that sentence is a shield. This is also why you stop explaining yourself. You stop justifying your pace. You stop defending your waiting. You know inside that Allah is guiding you, and that knowledge does not need approval. People may think you've become passive. They may say you should do more, you should try harder, you're wasting time. But they don't see the internal work Allah is doing. They don't see that Allah is rebuilding your trust. Trust that was shaken by unanswered prayers. Trust that was wounded by delays. Trust that was bruised by outcomes you did not expect. Allah does not ignore wounded trust. He heals it. But healing trust takes time, because trust once broken cannot be forced back. It must be rebuilt slowly. This is why Allah places you in situations where you must lean not once, again and again. Small moments, daily decisions. Do panics or do I trust? Do I interfere or do we hang there? And every time you choose surrender, your heart becomes stronger. You begin to understand something beautiful. Tawakkul does not mean nothing will hurt again. It means you will not be alone when it does. And that changes pain. Pain without Allah feels unbearable. Pain with Allah becomes meaningful. It shapes you without destroying you. This is why forcing ends when Tawakkul begins. Forcing comes from fear. Tawakkul comes from certainty, and certainty is quieter. It does not announce itself. It sits calmly and says, Allah knows. My dear brother, my dear sister, if you are in this stage, do not rush yourself out of it. Do not shame yourself for moving slower. Allah is teaching you how to lean without falling, how to trust without fear, how to live without carrying the world on your shoulders. And when this lesson settles fully, you will notice something amazing. Life will still move, doors will still open, answers will still come, but your heart will not shake the same way, because you will no longer walk alone. You will walk with Allah. And that is the safest place to be. May Allah grant you a heart that leans with confidence, trusts without fear, and rests in His wisdom. What Allah has written will arrive gently. There is a reason your life no longer moves with force. There is a reason things do not crash into your life anymore the way they once did. There's a reason you are no longer dragged forward by chaos. Because what Allah is preparing for you now is not meant to arrive violently. It is meant to arrive gently. But to understand this, you must understand how Allah brings His greatest gifts. Allah does not always send blessings with noise. He does not always announce change with dramatic signs. Sometimes it sends transformation so quietly that you almost miss it. Earlier in your life, things came suddenly. People entered suddenly. Opportunities appeared suddenly. Losses struck suddenly, and your heart learned to brace itself. You became alert. You became guarded. You became ready for impact. So when Allah began slowing everything down, your heart did not understand. You thought something was wrong. You thought, why is nothing happening? Why does life feel paused? Why do things feel so quiet? But Allah was not pausing your life. He was softening your arrival. Because what is coming next requires a heart that does not panic, a heart that does not rush, a heart that does not break under change. Earlier sudden blessings would overwhelm you. Sudden loss would shatter you. Sudden responsibility would exhaust you. So Allah began teaching you a new rhythm, a rhythm of calm, a rhythm of patience, a rhythm of trust. This is why your life now feels slower, not empty, intentional. Allah prepares His servants in layers. He does not throw gifts at wounded hearts. He heals first, because even good things can harm a heart that is not ready. So He trained you. He taught you to let go. He taught you to wait. He taught you to trust. He taught you to choose peace. And now you are standing at a place where force no longer belongs. This is why doors now open differently. They do not slam open. They do not drag you in. They invite you. An invitation feels unfamiliar to a heart used to struggle. You are used to fighting for space, fighting to be seen, fighting to belong. Now Allah is preparing to place you where you do not have to fight. And that is unsettling at first, because struggle became your language. You knew how to survive pain. You knew how to endure loss. You knew how to keep going even when nothing made sense. But receiving gently is a new skill. Receiving calmly is a new identity. Receiving without fear requires trust. So Allah teaches you this before He sends what you asked for, because what is coming will not require desperation. It will not require sacrifice of your soul. It will fit. It will settle. It will arrive without stealing your sleep. And you will know it is from Allah. Not because it excites you, but because it calms you. This is the biggest sign. Earlier excitement guided you. Now peace does. Earlier intensity pulled you. Now alignment does. This is why Allah kept certain things away until now. Not because you weren't worthy, but because you were becoming ready. You see, my dear brother, Allah does not give the same gift to every heart in the same way. Some hearts need storms. Some hearts need silence. Yours needed gentleness because you have already been through enough. You already survived what could have broken you. So Allah does not want your next chapter to arrive with pain. He wants it to arrive like mercy, like ease, like relief. This is why you feel different now. You do not rush into happiness. You do not chase joy. You let things come to you. And that is not passivity. That is confidence in Allah. Confidence that what is written will not miss you. Confidence that what belongs to you will recognize you. Confidence that Allah does not tease His servants with false hope. He prepares them slowly, lovingly, perfectly. And if you feel like life is approaching you quietly now, do not be afraid. Allah is teaching you that the loudest blessings are not always the best ones. Some blessings whisper, and those whispers change your life forever. If you are still here with me, it means your heart stayed not because of words, but because something inside you recognized truth. And before you leave this video, I want you to hear this one thing clearly. You did not lose your strength. You did not lose your hunger. You did not lose your faith. Allah simply removed your ability to force, because the next part of your life cannot be entered by struggle. Some chapters are opened by effort, but the most important ones are opened by surrender. That tiredness you feel was not meant to stop you. It was meant to save you. Allah was protecting your heart from chasing what would have broken it. He was protecting your soul from carrying what was never yours. And He was protecting your future from arriving before you were ready to receive it peacefully. So tonight, or this morning, or whatever time it is where you are, I want you to do one thing. Stop fighting the pause. Stop blaming yourself for not being able to push anymore. Stop fearing the silence, because silence is not absence. Silence is where Allah prepares what noise would destroy. What is written for you will not need panic. It will not need desperation. It will not need force. It will arrive when your heart is calm enough to hold it without fear. And one day you will look back at this season and say, Ya Allah, thank you for slowing me down before I ruined what you were preparing. If this message settled in your heart, don't rush away. Sit for a moment, even if it's just one sentence, and remember this always. Allah has not forgotten you. He's protecting you, and He's not late. May Allah replace your exhaustion with peace, your fear with trust, and your waiting with certainty. Amen. Stay gentle with your heart.